Okay, so we have this file here, right? So we have ls-l, and initially we removed all the permissions. Okay, chmod I did 000 and the file number, there were no permissions. Okay, then I did chmod u plus read write execute here. So if you look at the table, u means user. I'm giving user full permissions, read write execute. Okay, so what you have to do is do the plus sign, and when you do u plus read write execute, this is going to equal file 1. So file 1 had read write execute permissions. Okay, then the second command was to give group only read and execute permission. So what I did, group is G, I took G, then I put a plus sign, that means you're adding a permission. And then what permissions I am giving you? I'm giving him read and execute. So instead of putting number, read and execute 4 plus 1 5, I'm giving RX. Okay, so I'm gonna give a 2-minute pause and ask anybody have a question so far.
I accidentally did read and write, and I'm trying to redo it, but it's not going through.
Yeah, it won't go through. Start with 0 here. Do chmod 000 and then do the file 1. Start from again.
Okay, now it's like totally gone, so should I do it again?
Yeah, do this here. Chmod u plus read write. So here what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna each okay, here remove all permissions. Okay, that's that one. And this one is grant only user full permission. Okay, now continuing on with that, grant group only read and execute permission. Okay, now the next one we're gonna have this is let's see here. So what I'm gonna do is now the next one is grant other only read permission. So how would we do that? We do chmod again, okay? So first take a look here, what do you already have for other? For other there are no permissions. So we'll put a symbol for other O and with a plus sign. And what is it saying here? Give only read permission. So what is read in here? R and file 1. Okay, if you do LL, Then we granted read permission to file 1. In fact, I'm going to highlight this part here. Grant so remove all permissions, you did 0 0 0, or we could do other way too. I'll show you at the end. Now let's see here, some of them don't have full permissions here, right? So next one is blindly giving full permission to everybody. Grant full permission to everyone. So what I'm going to do is chmod, instead of doing the UGO, what I'm going to do is A for everybody. Okay, over here it says A, so I'm going to say A and then plus, and what does it say here? Grant full permission to everyone. So what would the full permission would be? Read, write, execute, and that would be file 1. Okay, and if you do lsll, and you see the full permission is taking place here. Okay, this is much more fun here rather than calculating the number. Okay, so the number you have to calculate is you have to sometimes remember the permissions, existing permissions, and based on that you have to calculate. Here you may or may not have to stress that much.
Question for you right quick.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just curious. On the part where we have instead of putting A plus RWX to 7 for 1, would that work?
You're breaking up.
Okay, then my question is where you said instead of putting the RWX right there, can you put the numeric value instead of the alphabetical designation?
Let's try that. That's a very good question. Did you write it already?
I'm about to.
So go ahead and put 7 in there and see what happens.
It said invalid mode, A plus 7.
Do 777. What you could do is
Yeah, still the same.
let's do equal sign. Equal 7. No, it's not working that way either. All right, so it's probably a safe net for people to not to confuse. Okay, permissions are really important, guys. Okay, if you set wrong permissions for a wrong person, then it will be traced back to you, because the permissions usually are root control, especially the execute permissions. Okay, so make sure you do the homework before you really do the permissions in the production environment. Okay, but this guide here, you could keep it with you, and it is very, very handy. In fact, I have a little table also. Let me see if I could put it in here. these are some commonly used permissions. Okay, so these are examples here. Okay, so you could take a look at it later. I'm going to say examples. And I have one more table. I'm going to put it here. It has permissions and some more information regarding it. Okay. So here we did like read, write, execute, right? So the numeric value would be 777. What I'm going to do is, okay, so this will stay numeric. Okay, and this one is the one that you could use to add the permissions here. Okay, so now let's focus what we have here. So let me clear the screen. And if I do LL, everybody has full permissions here, right? So what I'm going to do is we're going to remove some permissions here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove, by default, not everybody has the execute permissions, right? So I'm going to go ahead and remove execute permissions for everybody. Remove execute permissions for everyone. So how I'm going to do that? I'm going to do chmod change modification. Chmod stands for change modification. A, that means everybody. Now this time I'm going to use, instead of plus, I'm going to use minus. Minus means subtract. So it is saying chmod A means for everybody, minus means take out. What I'm taking out is execute permission. So I'm going to put X, and then I'm going to do file 1. So when we have this, so everybody would have read, write, read, write, read, write. Okay. All right, there you go. So everybody else, we took out the execute permissions here. So if you are going through the system and if you came across a file which has like a execute permissions for anybody, just stop there and take a look, okay? And make a noise if you think that permission should not be there. So that is what you do is if something you see is not right, you talk to your team member and see if that's something like that is supposed to be there or not. Okay, now let's
So
do,
basically, the execute command is not everybody that has that in the production
yeah,
environment.
in a production environment, because 666 is the full the maximum permissions anybody could have is 666 for a file, not 777. You may have to physically give the 7 permissions to a file, especially a file, because a file could do a lot of damage. If it's a script file, it may do some damage to it, to the system. Okay, especially this group. If this group has others and this group, then take a pause and take a hard look and see what happens. Okay, so now okay, so everybody got the idea, right? How this is working here. Let's do, instead of doing chmod, now my requirement is remove permission for everybody. Remove all permission for everyone. Okay, so how I'm gonna do that? I did chmod 000, right? Earlier. Instead of 000, what do you think I should do? I'm removing permissions for everybody. So what is everybody? What letter I should use for everybody?
A minus.
A minus, very good.
Or
And then what permissions I'm removing? I'm removing all the permissions.
RWX.
RWX, yeah. Very good. And the file one. There you go. We are back to square one here again. We started off with the number, then we are using the letters to take out the permissions. Okay, let's do the same thing using a numeric number. Okay, so we already removed the full permissions here. Grant only users full permissions. So what would be our command? Chmod. So what would be the full permissions for user only?
Two plus
700.
No, give me the number. Yeah, what was it? 7 what?
7
You're breaking up.
70.
700, yes. And the file one. Can you guys hear me okay, or I'm breaking up? Okay, so if you take a hard look here, we have the same exact permissions as this one is 700. Okay, and let's work on the other ones. Grant full permission. Grant only user full permission. Now grant group only read and execute permissions. So we are building up on the same permissions. we cannot afford to lose the permissions for the user here. We're gonna have to keep the permissions as is and add group only read and execute permission. So I know we have to keep 7 as is, right? And it's saying grant group only read and execute permission. So read would be 4, execute would be 1. 4 plus 1 would be 5 and 0 because it doesn't say anything to grant any permission to others. There you go. It should match what you have there. See, it should match what you have here. Okay, now what is the next one? Grant other only read permission, right? So you have to do chmod, keep the same permission, 7.5, and it says other read permission, 754, and file 1. There you go. So you could notice, right, using a number may be a little bit challenging because you have to keep in your head that you have to keep the existing permission. Whatever the existing permission is there, you have to keep it and then change around the other permissions. Okay, and 750. Okay, so the next is grant full permissions to everybody. So this should be easy. chmod 777. Grant full permission to everyone. Okay, now next one is remove execute permission for everybody. So how would that work? You not just simply have to do minus x or anything like that. So you have to calculate the number here. So the number would be remove execute permission for everybody. So if we do 7 minus 1, 7 minus 1, 7 minus 1, it would be 666. Okay, and now the last one is remove all permissions for everyone. We already did this. So what would be that? 000. Alright, so we are back to square one where we started. Okay, so that's about it. Any questions? Okay, good. No questions means we are good. So the next topic I have is, give me one moment here. Okay, so the next topic I have here is facls, FACL. Okay, so what I'm going to do is FACL file access control list. Okay, so what we have here is it's a concept here. Let me walk you through first, then I'll explain you what the facal is. Okay, so let me clear the screen. So we have a folder called LSF and LD bank assignment, right? So if you look at the permissions here, you look at the permissions, you have full permissions for user, group, and there is no permission for others. Okay, and let's type get facal is the command. It's a new command. Get facal assignment. Okay, so what happens here is this will give you a expanded information here. So it says removing. Okay, yeah, it's just removing the thing here for it. So it says file information. That means the name of the folder. Okay, don't worry about. So in Linux, what Linux does is even information regarding a folder is considered a file, and a file is also considered a file here. Okay, so but if you see something like this file information assignment, that means it's just referring to a folder here. Okay, so what it is file is this file here, and the owner is you could just eyeball it, right? Owner, this part is root, and the group is a machine group. Okay, and you see the user has the read write execute permission, and the group has read write execute permission, and there are no permissions for others. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this part here. Anybody who is not user or in machine group will be denied. So I'm going to create another user here. Before that, let me see what users I have. Cat etc password, right? So I have a Terminator and Terminator 2 and T9000. Okay, so if I do ID T9000, I have to do uppercase T. So he's a part of a group T9000, right? If you switch the ID to T9000, he's not able to go into the folder here because he's not part of a group. So let me open another window here. Let me see if one is already open. No. Everybody, if you want to, go ahead and do that. Open another window. And I'm going to connect to my machine. We're going to come to this a little later here. Don't worry about it, how I got the number. What is that? Okay, mine is 17. Okay, I connected passwordless. And then I'm going to sudo su hyphen. Okay, on the second window, I'm going to connect as T9000. Okay, su T9000. And I'm going to give the password for T9000. Okay, so I'm going to say ID T9000, okay. And this dude, he is only, so what is happening here is he is not part of this. If you want to go into this assignment, he can't. So if you do cd/assignment, it says permission denied. Why is that happening? Because he is not any way associated with either the machine group or he's the owner. Everybody else here does not have access to it. So he falls into everybody else. He falls into other group. So here, anybody who is not user or in machine group will be denied access. T9000 is denied access to get into folder assignment. Okay, everybody with me so far? Any questions? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him specific user the permissions to get into the only, even though he's not part of any group or anything, but as an individual user, I trust him. I'm going to give only him access to the folder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grant T9000 so grant T9000 permissions to folder assignment. Actually, what I'll do is I'll make this topic as a grant permission to specific user on folder. Okay, so what are we doing? We are selected specific user is T9000 here. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna give him only him the permissions. Even though he's part of other group and all that, we're gonna give only T9000 the permissions here. Okay. So what is the command? You do set facle. Earlier we used the command get facle, right? Get FACL, file access control list. And here you see only the root is the owner and then group is the access to group here, nobody else. And here if you see T9000 is no way on no way, form or shape he has access to the assignment here, but we're going to change that. So what we're going to do is set facle, okay, -m, okay, and then we're going to say user. M stands for modify, user, and then here I'm going to give the name of the user T9000. Okay, and then I'm going to give him the permissions, read, write, execute permissions, and the folder I'm going to give it to assignment. Oh, I have to do this as a root. So if I do ls-ld assignment, then you see the little plus sign in there. That means this folder has somebody else might be having access to this folder other than which is visible here. So to see that who has access to other than what you see is, you should do get facal. It sounds very complicated. It's not very complicated. It's just a matter of understanding. Okay, so actually okay, so what we have is set facal. -m u t9000 read, write, execute, and the file name or assignment. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, this is the command, and this is -m is modify, modify. Okay, U stands for user. Okay, so normally you would just give U and the user ID. Okay, permissions, and then the file or folder. So in this scenario, I gave the permission to folder. So when I ran this command, T9000 is, now he has access to the folder here, so he is able to get into the folder. So let's switch as T9000 and do cd assignment, and he is able to get into assignment.
I have a question, Mr. Zafar, before you progress. I sent Farco for T900, T9000. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 900, then use the exact one what you already have in the system. You added yesterday, right? Yeah. So do cat etc password, you see the user, the correct user in there. That way you use it. Okay, now let's see T9000, does he have access to read the file here? So can he even read the file? He can't even read the files yet. He could go into the folder, but he can't even read the files. So that is I'm going to demonstrate how to give the access to the file here. So in here, let's go ahead and create a new file. There is a file in here, so I'm going to create vi, and then the file is going to be save John and Sarah. Okay, so in here, save John and Sarah Connor. Update your report here. Okay, so I'm going to save and exit, and then I'm going to say LL. So here, this is the file name, and here it's even pathetic here. Now the machine group doesn't even have access to that file. Okay, so only root has access to this file here. So let me go ahead and copy this part here. Before that, let me copy this part.
Yeah, Mr. So I'm still having, when I'm trying to set the permission for T9000, is giving me invalid argument near character 12.
So you have to run this command here. Do this as set facle. You have to run this set facle.
And that's what I'm running. Set Falco minus MU column T9000 column RXW slash assignments slash.
Do you have assignment folder there?
Yeah, I have assignment. Yeah, I have assignment folder.
Are you logged in as root or T9?
Yes, sir. I'm logging as root.
Okay. Try it one more time. If not, give me. Let me see your team viewer.
Okay, my team viewer ID is 469-209-539.
Okay. Three zero nine.
469 209 539. 469 209 539.
All right, hold on. 469
209
Mm-hmm.
539.
Okay. All right, now the password.
48
48
UP
UP
E8.
E8. Okay. Now, buddy, you have to give a space right there. Read, write, execute, and a space, then assignment. Bring the line up.
Okay, let me.
You don't have to do that. Bring the line up. You do up and down arrow key. Yeah, give the space there. Yeah. Now hit enter. Okay, now do get faculty assignment. Okay, now you
Okay.
see T9000 have access.
Yeah.
Okay, do ls-ld on assignment. No, on assignment / assignment.
Oh, okay.
Or it actually did it for you because you're in an assignment folder. So you see a little plus
Okay.
sign there. You see a little
Right,
plus
plus.
sign. Yeah, that means there's a faculty is set for that specific
Okay.
folder. Okay. All right. Very good.
Thank you.
Sure. So these are the permissions we set for him, and this is what is showing up here. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grant permission on an individual file. Okay, so how are we gonna do that? Individual file. So it's still as root. What we're gonna do is let's see here. Let's do this. Okay, so how are we gonna do that? Same exact command. I'm gonna clear this. The exact command is set facle -m is to modify, u is the user, T9000 T9000. Okay, and I'm going to give him the read write execute permission, and what file I'm going to give him to save John and Sarah.
How do you get into assignment? I am at root at Sumi01.
Yeah, so go into cd/assignment. We created the assignment folder into a topmost directory root. Are you in there or no?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so before that, let's get facal for that file. Get facal, save John and Sarah. Okay, so this is the specific information about the file before we grant the permissions here. Okay, so you see here the file name, the owner and the group. User permissions is read write, group permission is read, and other permission is read only. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is terminate Sarah. Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a set facal only for him. Okay, so the command is set facal -m u : T9000, and what kind of permission I want to give him? Read, write, execute permissions, and the file name is save Sarah and John, this file, and I'll hit enter. Okay, so T9000, not T900. Okay, so you executed the permission, and let's look at the get facals. Okay, now you could visually see here that another user is added, and his T9000, he has read, write, execute permissions here. Okay, and I'm going to copy this part. Okay, so now if you go in here now as where is the okay, so if you go in as T9000 here, so you are able to cat it. Uh-oh, maybe you have to get out of and get back in there. Okay, exit, get back in there again. I'm going to go to cd/assignment. I'm able to do that, ll, and let me see cat. Okay, now you see a little plus on the file itself. Okay, so let's see if I could get in there as T9000. So I'm gonna go first. Let me cat it. See, I'm able to read the file now, and in fact, I could go in there and edit also. I'm gonna say mission complete. Okay, so this is actually enhancing the security of the individual file or the folder here. Okay, you may have the folders in the environment, but you want to give access to that to somebody, but at the same time you want to have like a stricter control who has access to what file. Then you could do this here. You could do the file access on an individual basis. All right, let's take a good 15-minute break and then we'll come back. So we'll come back at 11:45. All right, so 17-minute break, 18. All right, any questions, please gather and ask me when I come back. So the break starts now. So all this is clear, right? Any questions you have? Anybody? So let's try just this specific file without granting the folder access, and let's see if it's going to work. Okay. So we'll do to so I'm going to say exit, and then I'm going to go in there as Zafar. Okay, it says permission denied. Okay, let's see if I could go in here and even though the permission is denied for the folder, if I could cat the file. Cat terminates here. Okay. So the permission is denied as well. So what we'll do is we'll go in as root and see if we could give the facle permission to only directly to the file instead of giving it to the folder. Okay. So you go get facle, and this is what you have here. Okay. Can one of you confirm you could hear me? Hello?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was so dead. So let's see here. I'm going to grant the permission, set facle. Set facle -u Zafar. Read, write, execute. Okay, and then I'm going to give it to assignment, and then I'm going to give it to terminate Sarah. Okay, now if I do get facle here, so the user Zafar, he has access to this file here. But let's see if he's able to go into the assignment folder. So he still is not able to go into assignment folder, but can he cat it? So he is not able to cat it either, or VI either. Okay, the permission is denied. So you have to remember, just because setting a file is a user is not going to have access until he have access to the full path. In this case, he need to have access to this full path here. Correct? So we did it. It did took the information here. It did put access to him in here on this file, but since he doesn't have access to assignment, it will not work. So if you do vi okay, this part is informational. Yeah, I already knew it wouldn't work, but just in case if this has crossed your mind, you know this type of situation is not going to work. Okay. All right, so let's move forward here. I think we are end of permissions. Let's see what else I have here. I'm gonna give a 2-minute pause here. Anybody have any questions? Well, I'm gonna go through here. I already talked about ch own, right? Ownership. Yeah, over here I did ch own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the ownership individually. Okay, that way you have a good understanding of the ownership. So what a chown does, chown is to change / assign ownership of the files and folders to users and group. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a folder named data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder named data, mkdir /data, data, and I'll hit enter. I'll do ls-ld /data. Okay, so this is the default permissions the system assign it to the file folder. Okay, now what I'm going to do is okay, so we have a data folder in here. Let me go in there and create some files. cd/data. Okay, I'm gonna see touch file 1. Okay, cd/data. And here I'm going to create a file named touch file 1. Okay, and if I do ls-l file 1, then I see the 644 permissions, but the owner is root and the group owner is root also. So what I'll do is I will go ahead and change the ownership of the file to terminator. chown, okay, terminator, and then I'm going to keep the file group ownership as is. So I'm going to keep it root, and then the file name. Okay, so if you are doing to the individual file, then we don't have to do this. Okay, so just do this. chown terminator file 1. Oh, I typed it wrong here. I think this should work. Terminator. Yeah, if I do ls-l file 1, now you see the ownership has been changed from the root to the terminator. Okay, now I want to change the group ownership of the file. How do I do that? Chown. Either I could do terminator and colon machine and the file name. So what happened here is here okay, here we are changing the file ownership here. Okay, now we're going to keep the file ownership and change the group ownership. So the group ownership is, so you have ls-l, you type chown. Chown means change ownership. And since we have terminator the way it is, we could give the terminator here, and instead of root, we're changing into machine. Okay, if you do ls-l file 1, and you have a terminator and machine name.
Can we change the group and owner at the same time?
Yes. You could change the group and the ownership at the same time, definitely. So here, if you just type, in here, you could just type, if you're just owning the ownership here, you could also type this. Or you could also run this command. Here, take out root. That means it will automatically understand that it is changing the root ownership. It is changing the user ownership. Here, what you could do is or. You could type this command here. There's two methods for everything here. So if you do like this, a colon and a machine name, if the colon is starting in the front, that means we are referring to the secondary part. If you're not, you're just putting the terminator, that means you just put the chown. You just put chown for terminator and file 1. The ownership is terminator now. But if you're doing only the group here, then you have to give a colon. Okay, and this one is changing only user, changing only user ownership. And then if you want to do both at the same time, change user ownership and group ownership at the same time. Then you use this command. Okay, so if you look at the you do ls-ld for data, ls-ld/data. Okay, so the owner for the root is this here, but the file is terminator. So if you switch as terminator, you should be able to have access to the file here. So we have a file here, terminator is the owner. If I do vi file1, it's not giving us any errors here. I am terminator. I have access to this file. Okay, so now as a terminator, now you have access, then you have full access, right? Since you're owner of the file, you could remove access or give access to somebody else. Okay, you could remove the machine and then give it to ID terminator. So he belongs to the group machine, right? Yeah, now he has authority to change around the file ownership, whatever he wants. Okay. So as a terminator, what he could do is he could do chown, and let's see what is the, okay, so machine is there, right? So what he could do is he could do chown Zafar and then give access to full Zafar now. Chown operation, changing ownership of file 1, operation not permitted. Why is it not permitted? let's give the file the execute permission, and after that we'll see if we could change it. Okay, chmod u plus x file1, and now I'm going to see chown. I'm going to give it to Zafar. Operation not permitted. Let me get out of here and get back in there. cd/data. Okay, the permissions for terminator is not, you know why it's not there? Because if you do ls-ld data, okay, so the folder permissions is not group yet. So let's go ahead and change the ownership of the folder. Okay, so as a root, I'm going to clear this and go back here, ls-ld and /data. So I'm going to do chown. For you to do this, you have to do -r, minus uppercase R. That means recursively everything inside the folder, and I'm giving it to terminator and machine /data, ls-ld data. So the terminator and machine has access to it, right? So let's see here if he's able to do that command now. Let me go back in there again. Okay, this is interesting. I thought once you become an owner, you should be able to change the permissions. But apparently you're not. Okay, we'll come back to this. I'll work on this and I will let you know next week, okay? So what happens here is you do the ownership here. So ownership of the folder did worked. Okay, -r. This allows for recursive permission. Recursive permission meaning existing content in the directory. Okay, so that's about it for the ownership here. Okay, let me see what else I have. Change group, permissions, change ownership. Okay, well, there is one more command, change group. CHGRP, changing group only command. Okay, so chown, we could do the ownership here, right? Chown, you could do the ownership of the users, but there is one more command called chgroup. So if I do ls-ld/data, so the machine is here, right? So earlier we did to change the ownership of the group for the folder or a file. You had to do the colon, right? You had to do the you have to do the colon. But there is also one more method here, secondary method to use the change the ownership. Okay, change the group ownership. Okay, so right now our data file has ownership of machine. So what I'm going to do is cat etc group. Okay, so what I'm going to do is ls-ld assignment. Okay, so the ownership of this, let's stick with data folder, ls-ld and data folder. This folder has machine group, right? So if I do change chgrp, change group, that means we are just concentrating on changing the group here. And the group name I'm going to do is Zafar. Okay, and what file I'm doing it to? I'm giving it to data. So if I do ls-ld data, now the group ownership has been changed using chgrp command. Okay, that's all there to it. It's just a secondary method, nothing else. Okay, last thing I have a topic for today is the age, the password age. Remember we went through the password and we could do some changes around the password here, okay? It's called ch age. Change age of the password here. So let's clear this. We don't need the second window, so I'm going to exit out of here. Exit. So when we were, okay, always remember user administration and permissions gonna overlap all the time. So don't be surprised if I'm putting, repeating stuff from administration into permission, permission into administration. Okay, so at one point, so we looked at the login definitions here, right? Over here, we had the password maximum and all this is already set here, okay? So let me explain you again what this means here. So if you do so if you do a ch hyphen I hyphen L and terminator.
You have to do the root.
Yeah, as a root.
No, in the root directory.
No, it doesn't matter. When you're running a command, unless you're specifying the directory, so this command I didn't run it in a directory because it's normal command. If I'm doing something specific, then the directory is important.
Oh.
Okay, so you look at the terminator here and we have his password information here, how long the password is going to last and all that. So all this is coming in from the earlier thing I showed you. So all this is defined from this file here, the password information. So before that, let me make another window in here. Okay, if you look at this, this is what it's defining this password information, the user password information. So let's go through each of them and see what it means. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this part is gonna go in here. So what this is last password change. So this is the date of the password was changed. Okay, probably it's showing April 10th here, right? The reason it's showing is probably this is when we created the user. So this is when the password was last set. The date the password was set. Okay. And then password expiration. In here it says password is never going to expire. Why is it giving us that information? Password will never expire because in here it's coming in from the login definitions here. The minimum days, password minimum days. Okay, so it's set, it is 0. So the password is password expiration date. So right now the way the things are set up, it's not set to expire. Okay, and then a password inactivity. If the password is inactive for so long, can it be disabled? We don't have that option set here. Normally, in the real world scenario, you should. So if you are a user, if you're not logging into the system for like 7-8 days, the system will automatically try to disable your password. So it will, you could set the ID in here, you could set the date in here, 7 days or something like that. So if a user is not logging into the system for 7 days, it will flag it and then it will disable the ID. Third one is account expires. Generally you should always allow the account to expire after so many days. Okay, so that one is set in so account expire is not showing here. Why is it not showing here? Maximum number of days a password may be used. So I'm going to go into the password file and see in here. Okay, so I explained earlier that what the password file was, right? So if I go in here, so the user terminator check for password, user ID, user information. Okay, shadow, terminator, grace period. Okay, so we don't have option for user IDs to expire, so that means this is set to never here. Okay, so in generally speaking, there should be some timeline in here when it should expire. Usually it should expire within like a year or 2 years, but since it doesn't have any, so this is set to never. You would see ID expiration date there. In real world, you would see a date in there, but right now we are not seeing it because the system is not set up the way normally it's set up in the production environment. Okay, and here is the information about minimum number of days between password change. Okay, so we are not forcing it to change the password here. Okay, so usually this is set to like maximum password days. So maximum is set, minimum is not set. Okay, so this is when will the password be forced to change. Okay, and this part, there is maximum number of days between password change. That's minimum and there is maximum also. So what I'm going to do is, it looks like the password is set to never change. That's what it looks like. Okay, so in this scenario, how many days since maximum days between the password change, right? So it's set to 999. That means never allowed to change. So our system is not the most secure, so it is not complying with the policy here. Normally all this would be within the company policy how you would use this. And this is the warning. If the password is going to change, how many days prior to getting forced to change is allowing to give the warning. So normally if you go into work here, it will give you a warning, right? You need to change the password in 7 days or whatever. That's what this is. Okay, that's all there to it. Normally this is a warning period. Actually, let me just put this as a warning period. So let me see if we need to change anything. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do CHH -M. I'm gonna put this as 60 days. Okay, and another capital M. So minimum days is 60 and maximum days is another 60. Okay, and yeah, everything else looks good. And then I'm gonna do -L terminator. Okay, I think this should be I. It should make it inactive after 60 days. Okay.
Does it have to be capital I or
Yeah, capital I. Now run the regular command CHH -L terminator. So now you would see that you're enforcing the password requirements here. Okay, so here it says expires June 9th. So 60 days from April 10th is June 9th. Okay, and what is this August?
Okay, mine didn't change it when I set it in. It still has the same maximum number of days between password 999, and I set the parameter that you had earlier.
Okay, type exactly like this: CHH -M, that means minimum 60 days, maximum space 60, I, that means it expires after 60 days. And then terminator. Did it work?
Yeah, it just what it did.
After you hit that, do CHH -L terminator.
No, it didn't work. It didn't change it. It still has the maximum number of days between password 999 and
Which
minimum days
which
between
user are you
spend.
putting in for Terminator?
Terminator. Yes, sir.
So when you type and hit enter, are you getting any error? When you type this command and hit enter, are you getting any
No,
error?
sir. I didn't get any error.
Are you doing it as root?
Yes, sir. I'm in root. Yes, sir.
Do ID Terminator?
Okay.
Did the information showed up?
Yeah, the information showed up for Terminator. Yes, sir. Under the group 9000 machine. Also, it's also is a root user. It's under the wheel.
Okay, let me connect. Yeah, launch TeamViewer.
Yes, sir. I'm about to launch it. Yeah, it's launched. Uh, okay, my password is 97 Y8FF.
You did put 60 after the I.
Yeah, put I60 over here also.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So this now the display is a self-explanatory here. Last password was changed here, and then next time is going to force it to change is on June 9th, because 60 days will be up from April 10th. And another 60 days following June 9th on August 8th will be 60 days. So the password will be inactive on August 8th. And we still set it to never, but minimum number of days between the password change. This is what it is. It's 60 days, and the maximum is 60 days. And then warning, it will pop the warning about in 7 days. Okay, that's all there to it. So we're gonna end here, and don't sweat too much here. Okay, what I'll do is in here. So whatever the we have permissions, right? I put so many things which is related to user administration. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here too, and it will be in here too. So always remember the permissions and user administration is going to overlap. Okay. All right. So anybody has any questions?